Mhm. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of A Few Short Minutes, the pod. I am your host, Stacy Short. Excuse my messages going off. Where I just want to remind you guys, it takes literally a few short minutes a day to rewire your brain for a more positive life. And today, my friends, I've got this gorgeous soul, Stefania. And let me give you a little bit about Stefania. She's coming all the way from Australia. And she was a hairstylist for 20 years. So after 20 years of listening to women's juicy man gossip as a stylist and personal trainer, with her insights, now she assists high achieving men find their ideal partners to enjoy healthy, fulfilling, and successful relationships. She works extensively with thousands of women in her roles as a hairstylist and the salon owner, and later as a personal trainer, of course. And they probably spilled all their little secrets because that's just kind of what we do to those people in those service industries. She sensed their frustration and dissatisfaction with their partners, and the insight propelled her to support high achieving men seeking partners who appreciate them for who they are, not just their financial status. She is a best-selling author of Master the Language of Attraction, and she equips men with the confidence to navigate the complexities of dating relationships while safeguarding themselves from unsuitable matches. And so now she is a dating, a relationship coach and therapist. She has interviewed and spoken on a number of stages, podcasting, speaking engagements, and she shares her insights into what women want. And additionally, she's invited to present her expertise in men's empowerment workshop and events. And she truly believes and reminds men that every man deserves a special woman, especially on your bad days, to remind you that you are not hard to love. And man, that is for all of us. Outside of all of that, she enjoys training, refining her salsa and bachata dance movies. Oh, good girl. That I am so jealous already. On the dance floor, taking nature walks with her poodle, Lucy. My chi poodle just buried herself under a blanket because it is chilly here in the US. Stefania, thank you so much for being here. Tell me a little bit outside the bio, like dating relationship
Okay.
coach therapist.
I
Tell me about
know.
that.
Well, thank you, first of all, Stacey, for having me on your podcast. This
Thank
is
you.
exciting. And I get to talk about what I do, I guess, and what I've done in the past. And as you mentioned, I was a hairstylist and personal trainer. And that's where it all really began, because it was where I got to hear a lot of the juicy man gossip, I call it. I really call it that, because as you know, I'm sure you've spent time in a salon, and for some of the audience
Just a
out there,
little bit.
right? So we have our hairstylists as our confidants, don't we? Where we can just have this therapy session and not pay anything. We're getting styled up, looking good, and yeah, I used to hear a lot of it, and I used to hear a lot of relationship issues. He doesn't understand me. If only he knew what I was thinking. If only he knew how I felt. If only he knew. It was constantly what I would hear. And of course, when I moved on to be a personal trainer, I pretty much heard the same thing from the ladies, because I was really mainly concentrating with ladies. But then when I was personal training, I was also personal training men. Now, the men, we would get into relationship conversations, but not like the women. The women would be more lamenting, complaining, whereas the men would be more strategic, and they would ask me questions. It was like, what do you think, Stefania? What do you think she's thinking? Do you think if I do this, she's going to react? So I would be giving them a female perspective. For some reason, it's like, come to Stefania. And that's how it all started. But also within my own relationships, I was having, I had some great relationships, some beautiful men in my life, but it was like, I wish someone was out there doing what I'm doing now, because like men to men therapy and coaching is great. Let me tell you, there's nothing I don't have anything against it, but I think when it comes to dating a woman, what better person to actually tell you how a woman feels and how she thinks and what she doesn't say when she's thinking and how to read between the lines. And also, it goes deeper than that, understanding female energy, psychology, and understanding yourself and how to incorporate that, when you're dating and navigating through the landscape of dating. So, yeah, the men would be more wanting to know that. So I thought, you know what? I think I think I have a calling. And as I was saying, the men in my life, some of the men, believe it or not, we still friends, and they moved on and
That's great.
dated other women, but they would come to me and ask me, like, Stefania, like, I've got this. I was thinking, you're my ex, and you're asking me how to deal with. So it was like the universe was telling me something. Yeah, and I can really see how there's a lot of coaching for women. There's a lot of, what to do, what not to do, how to, step into your voice, step into your power. However, the men, I guess some of them haven't been made aware that they can be doing this too, stepping into their masculine energy. Because, we talk about women that are stepping into their power. And unfortunately, I say this with due respect, as women, we forget to, as we're stepping into our power, as we're stepping into our alpha female, which we like to do, a lot of us do, we forget to still be in our feminine energy. Yeah. And ultimately, we do want a man that is a leader, who's confident, that knows what he's about, where he's going, he's got his stuff together. We call it, having it all together. And yeah, this is where I thought there was a big gap. So coming to the men, I equip them, I empower them, I help them step into their masculine power. It's not about emasculating men. In fact, I love men. I love, their power and their strength. But as, things have shifted in the world, as you know, with power struggles between men and women, I feel that men somehow feel like they have no choice or they've been cornered. But I'm here to let them know that they can step into their power. They can still, you know, um, navigate with strength and power no matter where they are in their status, and to also understand the red flags. I think there's just so much out there that, you know, the female power can blind a man when it comes to, yeah, understanding and realizing that, hey, this is a red flag. This is not real. Yes. So yeah, there's a lot going on. I also deal with, work with people that have had traumatic experiences. Not everybody's had wonderful relationships, right? So what happens is when we're, navigating and ended one relationship, then go into another relationship, unless we have dealt with what's happened in the past and healed that trauma, healed those wounds, what happens is we end up being in a vicious cycle of attracting the wrong type of people and ending up in toxic relationships. And, everybody's toxic out there. Everybody's a narcissist and and that's not real.
Yeah,
That's not true. I
that's not
think
true.
we can get caught up in all that. I'm all about understanding love, self-love, and attracting that love to you. Sure, there are people out there, but we want to stay clear of those people, and we want to draw to us those that are going to, be compatible. That you're gonna thrive together. You're on the same wavelength. You're vibing together, and that you're supporting and having healthy, loving relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a few things in there that you said that I'm like, yep, that's true. And one of them is you have these toxic relationships. And I think one of my biggest epiphanies about my love life, well, I've had a few, but that I was basically dating the same dude in a different meat suit. Same
Exactly.
dude, different meat suit. And what now I know is because of my codependency and my people pleasing, I attract men who want to be managed because me managing somebody else makes me feel valued and um, and have a purpose and makes me feel in control. All of it is an illusion, by the way. None of that is true. It's a lie that I would tell myself to feel better about life, or it's how I was brought up too. But none of them lasted, because I would get to the point where I was like, why can't you just do all of this? Well, Stacey, that's because you've been doing it for 3-5 years, and now all of a sudden you're tired and you're exhausted, and now he doesn't know what to do. So I completely would take his empowerment away from him, not knowing, I mean, out of love,
Yes.
under the guise of let me love you. And me loving somebody else made them powerless. And that is definitely not what I intended to do.
No.
But, and then I turn back and I look around and I go, I don't understand why these relationships aren't working out. Well,
Exactly. But you were made aware there was a shift, right? There was what shifted that for you? Like what made you say, hang on a minute, this isn't working for me?
yeah, a shit ton of therapy, a shit ton of
Mhm.
therapy, and years by myself, which is
Mhm.
something that I don't think people do as a whole. People don't intentionally say, I am going to be alone for until, and for now, I was alone for 7 years, completely did not date, did not, nothing, didn't entertain, didn't want to. And then I dated for 2 years.
Mhm.
Um, and then about a year ago, well, 11 months ago, I was like, yep, I'm done again. I'm done again. So I backed out again, and I don't miss it. That's the thing. I'm not lonely. You shouldn't date if you're lonely anyway. That's a whole other podcast episode.
Mm.
But I don't miss the company. I have good friends. I have my kids. I have myself. I have my work. And it's just a different shift now. Now, what I know is that I'm going to find somebody who is aligned with me versus, oh, he's cute and he gives me the butterflies and he makes me laugh. Because while those are the cute and the makes me laugh thing is great, butterflies not so great, which is uh, um, thank you, Disney. It's not true. It's actually the opposite. You don't want butterflies. It's not true. But there's somebody that makes me laugh, absolutely important to me, but I want somebody that is growing. I want somebody that has maybe experienced therapy or coaching, done some sort of self-awareness, insightfulness, self-development, who isn't the same person that they were 6 months ago. And the people that I had been bringing into my life are not, is not in that ideal situation. So I just would rather be by myself than
Yeah.
deal with bad dates, bad relationships, and the anxiety that comes with it. Not worth it to me any longer just to have somebody next to me in my bed. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I got
And
dogs.
absolutely. You see, because you've done the work, you know what you want. And that's where you see, I'm gonna just put it out there. Women are working on themselves a hell of a lot more than the majority of men. Okay.
Yep.
On a ratio, women are actually more open to transformation, growing, self-development. This is all too much for me. And they're stepping into their power, and rightfully so, right? Because they're getting to know who they are. Now, unfortunately, this is what I'm trying to say to men here. These women are growing. These women are empowering themselves. What seems to be like, oh, they're just all, alpha women. No, they're just strong in their power. They know who they are. They know what they want. And it comes across, well, we don't need a man. sometimes it comes across in the wrong way, right? However, men, you need to step up. You need to do some work on yourselves, because these women are not relating to that type of man that's not willing to work on himself, that's not aware of who he is, what he wants, and where he's going in life. Right?
And how his
Yeah.
past trauma and childhood affects him today. I think that's the biggest
Correct.
click for most of us, of like, we literally all of us,
Oh, yes,
Mother
yes,
Teresa, Gandhi included, we all have trauma, all of
yes,
us. And it
exactly.
literally affects us every day and how we show up. And if you don't think you have trauma, you have extra trauma.
You're in denial, and that's
You're in
another problem
denial.
again, right? You're in denial. Absolutely, and a lot of the issues we're having in our day-to-day relationships, you're right, Stacey, is stemming from something way back in our lives, and usually it is childhood trauma, because it depends, what environment you grew up in, your family, dynamics, mum and dad, divorced, were they fighting? Was there violence? How were you being treated? You had how many siblings? So all this is just compounded, and you're carrying it. And it's all stored in the subconscious mind and in your cellular memory. So you will feel it, it'll feel like an earthquake in your body as something happens. You get triggered. Someone in today, like you're in a relationship today with someone, and they say something and it triggers you, like you just lose it. And it may not have meant anything. However, because it relates back to something in the past, it has triggered you so much that you're having a meltdown. That's exaggerating a little bit, but it does happen, and then that other person that's in your life think, what the hell happened? Like a man will say, what did I say? What did I do? Or vice versa. He's afraid of commitment, he's afraid of rejection, and he bolts and runs the other way. And yet the very thing he wants, he just runs from, and that is love. So yeah, it's very intricate, isn't it? It's very, like, as you start peeling back the layers, the work that I do, and I say this to men, you have to really want it. This is about how important is it for you to be in a healthy, loving relationship. Now, sure, you're going to have your ups and downs, but it's about how to maneuver, how to navigate through those ups and downs when you're in a relationship, when you're even trying to attract that ideal, partner that you so desire, rather than running the opposite direction or shutting down and closing shop. It doesn't work like that. And it only happens. I think men really realize that when they have hit the wall so many times, and unfortunately, they're left very jaded. A lot of them come to me where they're just, I have a soft spot for them, and I, take them through. And obviously, there's a process, because hey, it's not for everybody. It's not for the faint-hearted, but it's well worth it. It's well worth it.
Oh no, is a bitch. I mean, it is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life on a consistent basis. That is for sure. But I think, and I'm sure you tell your men these things, but for those that are listening and haven't had the pleasure of being Stefania's client, you guys aren't competing with each other. Like, it's not men competing against men for the attention of women. You're literally competing against my peace. And guess what? That is hard fought, hard won, and I am not sharing it or giving it up very easily, because I had many, 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 many years without it. And now that I have it, you got to be
Yeah.
really special in order to crack that peace bubble that I have now, for sure.
Yep. Yep. And as you speak like that, this is how men should be speaking as well. This is how they should be feeling about,
Absolutely.
they should be walking into a relationship knowing that they are a good catch, having that confidence that, hey, I'm not for everybody. I'm not for,
Wow.
and you know what, Stacey, you'd be surprised. I ask a very simple question to, predominantly men, but, even women. I say, what type of person do you want to attract in your life? Like, who is the ideal partner in your imagination, in your vision? Do you know half the time they can't answer me that question? They don't know. They can't break down, in pretty much detail that's not physical,
Yeah. Blue eyes, 6 feet, blonde hair. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that.
Exactly. How do you want to? So then I have to really break it down. Well, how do you want to feel? Like, how do you really want to feel in this relationship? What's the energy you want to be? And yeah, because unfortunately, this is the stuff they don't teach in school. And this is what really makes me angry. There's none of, this that's being taught where children are taught to feel, express, imagine. It's all input, input, input. But as children, as students, we're not encouraged to express and feel and share. And the late Bob Proctor, which I'm sure you
Oh,
know.
I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
And he said, we spend half our life, learning something like through school, what they inject in us, and then we have to spend the rest of our lives clearing all that out and rechanging our paradigms, our programming, because it's not who we are. It's all being cemented in us. So yeah, there's a lot to life. And once you start, peeling back the layers, it's a never ending story, right? You're never ever.
Oh no, I'm never done. In fact, I tell people all the time, if you ever meet a therapist or a coach or some sort of healer that says I am healed, or a potential partner, that also is accurate. If they say I am healed, run the other way. They are actually
Yeah,
not as self-aware as they are letting you believe, because it
right.
is a process. It is a journey. There is no destination. The destination is death.
Yeah.
That's for this human experience as of we are right now. That's actually the destination, and I will be healing until 1 second before I take my last breath. And and anybody that says here they're healed, they are actually lying to themselves first, which is
Right.
even scarier.
Yes, yes. And even as coaches, and I'm not, embarrassed to say, I still have, therapy sessions. I still get coaching. We all need each other. We are giving so much. I mean, I know yourself, you're a self-love coach, Stacey. So we're giving so much of ourselves that we need to be filling our own cups as well. And this is why we do what we do, because of our own journey, our own wounds, our own experiences. And we just want to, my mission is to be out there serving and helping, predominantly men, to say, you know what, you don't have to do it so hard. You can actually have all that you want. And the sad part is, particularly when I'm working with a high achieving man, and let me just quote this high achieving man. It's not only the successful, rich man that's, got it all financially together. And we're talking about, high achieving men that are also just goal setters, ambitious and striving, and they're doing really well in business because they're focused, they're determined, they know what they want, they go get it. Now, a lot of them are great in the boardroom with their team, colleagues, corporations, leading, major companies. However, when it comes to their own relationship, either with themselves, obviously, predominantly it does start with yourself, but then with others, they fail because they haven't injected as much energy in that as they have in their business. They always say a relationship is like a business.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got to invest in it, right? When you have a business, you are investing money back into it to grow and expand and flourish and give you an abundance back, right? The same thing goes with relationships. And unless you are equipped to do that, it's like unless you are equipped to run a major corporation and company, you're not going to be in that position. You're not going to be able to run a business, right? It's going to fail. So the same thing goes with a relationship. Same thing. There's no difference. None whatsoever.
No, I love that analogy because, men are so, generally speaking, you guys, please understand, this is just generalities. We're not trying to like piss anybody off.
That's it.
No, not at all. But, when you think about this in the business space, let's kind of take dating and slide it over like a coat into the business space. So if you only invested in your business for 6 months and talked to it every day and injected energy into it every day and money into it every day and your time and your effort, and then after 6 months you pulled back 50%, how long do you think that business is going to keep its doors open?
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, yeah. And that's why, and men are great at strategically logical, you know, they're leaders. They're born to be leading the pack, right? But when it comes to their own personal life, their own relationships, and they're failing, and let's not call them failures. They're not experiencing what it is that they want to experience, and that is the joy of, they say to me, Stefania, I have this empire, and yet I'm unhappy.
Yeah.
I'm unhappy. And it just breaks my heart to hear that. I say, well, we need to change this. It can be changed. It's like you're making a business decision, it's not working, you make another decision. You get rid of staff, you get rid of employees that are not serving you. They're only anchors, and they're only, employees that are draining from your business. So it's same thing applies, same thing. So if they can think like that, and sometimes I have to break it down like that because men can relate to this, compartmentalizing. And hence, if I can just share with you, hence why I called my business, the Gentleman's Square. That is the reason. Well, ideally, the name came from when I was living in Italy. I lived in Italy for 7 years in Syracuse. And, every city has a cathedral, a Duomo, and of course a piazza. I'm not sure if you've ever traveled to Italy before.
I
And
have been in Europe before, so yeah,
mm,
absolutely.
so you know what I'm
Gorgeous.
talking about, the big churches and
Hmm.
the squares where people just come and gather. And I would walk through this, piazza every morning, and I would see men, just groups of men talking, smoking, drinking coffee and chatting, whatever time of the day they would be there. And I went, Piazza degli Uomini, which means the Gentleman's Square in English, right? And I translated Gentleman's Square. Oh my God, that's it. Square, because it's logical, it's strategic, compartmentalized men. That's what I want to do. I want to call it the Gentleman's Square. So that's how that all started, for that
Oh,
reason.
I love a good I love a good branding story. I was convinced at 17 and 18 that I wanted to be an OPI, the nail polish OPI. Do you guys?
Oh yes, we have
So
that
you
here.
know how they have all those like catchy little names? I wanted to be the catchy name person. I didn't know what I wanted to dream up the catchy little names for whatever reason. I had no idea that was branding and marketing and all of that stuff. I ended up going for becoming I wanted to become an LMFT once I hit college, but I did want to be like my secret guilty pleasure would be the nail polish for OPI,
Naming.
the nail polish naming
Wow.
person, because I love a good like little branding
Yeah,
nod, a little secret inside joke type stuff. So I think it's brilliant. Also made
exactly.
me think of a pocket square, which I think, since you do high achieving men, is just so apropos, because most of them dress so beautifully, and they would wear a pocket square. I would feel your clients would be the ones wearing
Yeah,
a pocket square. So
yes,
yeah,
yes,
like
absolutely, absolutely.
all kinds of
No,
little
because
connections
I
there.
brought that up because a lot of people are quite curious as to why the Gentleman's Square, and I don't know what your impression was when you heard the name the Gentleman's Square, but it does create a bit of curiosity for everybody in different ways.
Which is good. Which is good.
It
All
is
I'm
good.
saying is OPIs, I'm not really a waitress. I want to know why the name of that like color, it's red with sparkles. I want to know why they named it I'm not really a waitress. Just
Wow.
curious. Just curious, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
They've got interesting names. They do. They do have interesting names to their nail polishers. Absolutely, I must say.
I do love them. Yeah, I do love them. What's something that surprises you? You've heard a lot in 20 plus years of being a stylist and a trainer, and now you've kind of you work for the dark side. I'm just kidding, you guys, not really, but you've gone over. You're not a women's dating coach. You focus mainly on men. What surprises you about men in dating that maybe you didn't know before you got into this so deep?
How vulnerable men really are,
Mm,
but don't show it.
we wish they
And
would.
yeah, women just really wanna see that part. Um, but of course, it's just
Yeah.
we gotta
No.
have
Mm-mm.
it
Feel
together.
feelings? Get out of here.
Exactly. And yeah, and even, I'm gonna say this, you know, a little naive, if I can say, particularly with some women. Again, they're I guess it's just they don't see it coming. They may get all wrapped up in the whole physical sweetness of a woman and yeah, lose themselves. They lose themselves. And because they may be feeling quite vulnerable and lonely, um, you know, that type of woman is able to, you know, gain and what I call tap in to his password. And once she's got his password, he's done.
Game over, buddy. Game over.
Yeah, and I say this in the most, gentlest way because I know there's men out there that possibly are hearing this and, like, damn, that's what happened to me. Um, I didn't see it coming. If only I saw it coming. I mean, this is exactly what happened in my last relationship. Why didn't I see it coming?
Mm,
Like you
mm-hmm.
said, it's just we keep repeating the same type of, relationships, just a different character, just a different person.
Yeah. Same dude, different meat suit.
Right. And we need to get to the core of this. We need to get to why is this happening? This is exactly what you don't want, but yet you're attracting that very thing, that very situation you don't want.
Yeah. And I think even worse, you're allowing it to stick around. It's one thing if you attract them and after a few dates, you're like, oh, wait a minute. I see the flags. It's not a carnival. Okay, I need to shut this down. But it's the lie that we tell ourselves that, like, oh no, it's different. Just because the flags are waving a little bit differently, they're still red flags. It doesn't matter if they're like a shade of pink or, it's still a red flag. And I think because it looks a little different, we think that it is different, and it isn't. It's still coming to your wounds, to your core stuff, to things that are not healed inside you that you've got to take care of. And that's tough. It's tough. but nobody can crawl in your body and do it for you.
No.
Nobody can do that. I totally would do that. For people that I love in my life, I would crawl in their body and solve things for them if I could. But that is not physically possible, nor is it my responsibility. It is yours. And so you have to get really fucking honest. I mean,
Yes.
really fucking honest.
And take responsibility too. I always say, the big one, which is really a hard pill to swallow, is to actually take responsibility. Have that awareness and say, "Yep,
Yeah.
I did it." And for a man, it can be tough to say, "You know what? I created this. I didn't create this. I didn't want this."
No, all my exes are crazy. They're all crazy. I just attract crazy women. Okay, but why, John?
Yes.
But what? But why? And why
Yes.
are we all crazy? The only common denominator here, sir, is you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that goes for me too, by the way. I'm not
Yes.
man bashing. I'm saying
No.
I have to take responsibility for my toxic relationships because I'm the common denominator.
Right.
It's me.
We created it. And that's right. It's for both men and women here. I mean, I do work
Them days
with
and haze, everybody.
yes. But once we start taking responsibility, once we start acknowledging and taking that first step, I always say the rest is easy. It's not that hard. It's just
Yeah.
it's the initial part. It feels I mean, men don't understand this, but I guess it's when you're birthing, as that child's coming through the birth canal is the hardest part. There's resistance to pain, right? And it's not knowing what's going to happen next because you're in so much pain. And when you're in that emotional state of pain, that takes over your limbic brain, and that then starts controlling everything.
Yeah, under the guise of I've got to stay safe, but that's not. It's a ruse. It doesn't, just because you control what you think you can control doesn't mean that it is controlled or that it will keep you safe. You're
Exactly.
literally playing into your patterns,
Mhm.
and you're reinforcing them, which is
Exactly.
exactly what you don't want.
Absolutely. And when you have the tools to do that, to stand strong, to be unshakable, setting boundaries with a woman, let me tell you, that's when you will start getting respect. And if you don't respect yourself enough to do that for yourself, I'm sorry to say, my friend, you're not going to get that respect from a woman.
Again, you guys aren't competing with each other. You're competing against my peace. And I have invested 10 years of therapy and thousands and thousands of USD into that piece. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not giving that up for anybody. You can join me, but you have to add to my piece.
Yes.
Detract sometimes. We're human. That happens. But you need
Mhm.
to add to it more than you take. And yeah, it's not some other dude doesn't have my attention. It literally is myself. So
Yeah. Yeah. And once we can tap into that, no one can shake you. No one. And it can be done. We just have to block out all the noise out there and do the work. It's about doing the work. And like you said earlier, it's like a business. If you only invest 6 months into a business and it's thriving, and then you pull back 50%, your business isn't going to go anywhere. Now, that business also pertains to yourself, okay? Because, attracting your ideal partner, when you're investing in yourself, and men are very good at investing in cars, investing in, you know, uh,
stocks, bonds,
anything that's going
crypto.
to give them a return of financial monies, which is great. Okay. We're not saying there's a problem with that, but you're getting a return. You may even invest in golf lessons to get that swing right. you may invest in a personal trainer in the gym to, bulk up and get that size and get that fit body, whatever it is. Football, any type of coach that's going to give you, help you with performance. Yeah. Because usually that's what financial advisor, whatever. But the bigger picture is investing in yourself with your self relationship to then be able to attract that ideal person is just as important as investing in stocks and business and property and golf lessons or whatever it is, cars, because that's what's going to make you grow and more attractive. I mean, let me ask you, Stacey, don't you think a man that has it all together in his business, yeah, is great and appealing, but then has his own stuff going on semi in order, or he's working on himself, isn't that more appealing?
Oh, yeah, 1000%. In fact, I would be very confused if somebody had a thriving business but didn't know how to thrive elsewhere, because the foundation of coaching is how you do one thing is how you do all. So
Yeah.
there's a disconnect there for us. And we see this man who is so successful and yet he has shit relationships. Well, then I wonder, like, how is that even possible? Where's the disconnect? Like, there's something's awry here, because if you can put yourself into a place where you are thriving in business and you built it and you keep it maintained and you keep it running and all of that stuff. Okay, so you have the tenacity, you have the ferocity, you have the intelligence. Why can't you shift it to, yourself? And so I wonder how they got that success. And what I pretty sure of is they got that success through shaming the absolute shit out of themselves as far as motivation goes. And they probably have terrible negative self-talk, which is what my specialty is. And they probably white knuckled their way to success versus embracing some feminine energy with gentleness and flow and vulnerability. And that path could have probably been a lot easier, a lot less resistant. I don't know, but
Painful.
clearly, yeah, a lot less painful. So maybe that's why there isn't anything to pivot, because they literally white knuckled their way to the top
Right.
in their business, and they don't have the tools there that would have gotten them there easier, faster, less painful.
You
All
know
of those
why,
things.
Stacey? I'll tell you why this happens. It's because that's all they know. Now,
Sure.
to some extent, it's not even their own fault, because that was what was modeled to them in their earlier years. And it could be, his dad modeled that to them.
Sure.
Even mother. It doesn't need to be
Oh yeah.
just father, it can be mother as well. So that's all that was modeled to us. So therefore, that's all we know, and that's what we think is right. Because between the ages of 0 and 8,
Yeah.
6 to 8, it's
Seven,
getting
eight,
younger and
yeah,
younger.
around
Yeah,
there.
everything mum and dad or our guardians, caretakers told us was sacred, was gold. Well, yeah, they're keeping us alive, they're keeping us safe. So everything that comes out of their mouths, everything we see and hear is sacred. We just take that to heart and make it like that's the way it's done. This is the way we do it. There's no other way. Dad's successful, mum's successful, and this is how it's done. It's just one of those things. We get to learn that as we journey through life. And when we start getting stuck, well, that means we're just the tires are getting thin because you haven't changed them and done anything, and we're forced to. Now, we either acknowledge that we have to, or we don't, and we keep going, and then something very unpleasant may happen that if we're still intuitive or awake enough or take note of what's happening, that it's time to, take another approach to what we're doing, because surely what's happening, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I can't do
Mhm.
this anymore. And that's where they end up. We all end up like that, but unless we're open to it and we get curious with life, we get curious with everything. I always say, to men, you've just got to be more curious. And even when you're, dating women or starting to like this person, don't forget about the curiosity, add that element, because be a great listener, ask the right questions, and you're going to get the right answers.
What's a right question that you would teach your guys? Because again, there's no manual in relationships, whether they're platonic or romantic. We are literally doing the patterns we saw our parents do, good, bad, or indifferent, y'all. So you do have to do some work to change those patterns. And so what's a question that you urge your guys to ask of their potential partners, dates, whatever, that maybe they wouldn't know otherwise?
Mm. Well, I wouldn't say they wouldn't know. Maybe some of them just avoid it.
Fair.
And it's very simple. Life is simple. We just seem to complicate things because we just get in our heads too much. But a very simple question when you're getting to know someone is, really like, what kind of relationship are you looking for? Do you want a casual relationship? Do you want a are you looking for a long-term partner? Are you just looking for a fling? You know, that's that's just basic stuff. But you'd be surprised where that is not asked.
Yeah, for sure. I think people are afraid of the answer, of it not matching
Correct.
theirs. But
Correct.
then that's just information, you guys. Why would you want to be with somebody that doesn't match your answer?
That's right. It's feedback. That's what I say. Take it as feedback. Don't take it as rejection. We get caught up in this whole rejection thing, but it's not rejection. It's actually feedback. And once we
Just
can get over
information.
that, yeah, information. So to say, okay, so does it suit what I want? Is this person in alignment? Is this person interested in the similar things? Doesn't be everything has to be the same, but similar things. Um, and there's your answer. So from there, you know how to, navigate. You'll start knowing um, how to move rather than going too deep, too fast, and before you know it, you're drowning.
Yeah, right back where you were 5 years ago with somebody else. Oh man, I had something and I forgot. Dang it. Oh well, it'll come back. What's a red flag that I think you probably have to tell your clients like pretty consistently of when you educate them about women's dating profiles or how their behavior is? What's a red flag that most men don't know or don't see or don't want to admit?
Okay. Again, another simple one that is obvious to many people, but to some it's not. And that is when women are asking for money, pretty much straight up, like in the very early, and this happens.
Oh yeah, I
You
know.
would be surprised.
Yeah.
And it's not only when they're dating, it even happens before dating. It even happens while connecting via texting, because there's so many platforms, so many dating sites, so many um and I hate to say it, but there is a lot of scammers out there, and unfortunately some men
Oh
get
yeah.
caught up with it. I was speaking to one gentleman. He had given away $5,000 to someone that to someone he hadn't even met, someone he hadn't even spoken to. It was all via texting.
Wow. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, you think, how can that happen? But it does.
So
It does.
desperate for approval, so desperate for the attention, that need for external validation. And I don't mean desperate in like a gross way, but I mean like truly you're desperate. Your soul, your heart wants that connection so badly that you're willing to look past if a guy walked into your business tomorrow and said, "Yo, give me 5 G's," you'd be like, take a hike, man. No way.
Exactly,
No way.
exactly. So yeah, building that trust, getting to know that person, and what's the rush? I say, what's the rush? Too many people are rushing into you know, relationships. I'm not talking where you have to take it so slow that you're just so aloof. No, I'm talking rushing, where it's just like you're already planning future, I don't know, engagements, weddings, and, things like.
Yeah.
However, I do say to men, questions to ask, like what I said earlier, what are your plans for the next 5 years? And that doesn't mean to be relationship plans, right? It could be just a very general open question and see how she comes back. What's her comeback? Like, is she a go-getter? Is she, ambitious? Does she want to still study? Does she want to work? Does she want to open a business? Does she want to have children? Is married life just her focus? You're going to get Pandora's box to play with. And then
That's
from
true.
there, you get to elaborate and go deeper with those questions. Because like you said earlier, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So the way she's thinking is how she's been thinking for a long, long time. And it's going to indicate to you what, what she wants. Is she relying on you to keep her? Because that information might come through. Is this fit what you want, your values, your standards? Is there any deal breakers in what she's saying? This is all valuable information for you to know. And I always say to men, don't think she's the only one out there. There's plenty of fish in the sea, right? Isn't there a dating app called Plenty of Fish? I think there is.
Yes. Oh man, it's so trash. It's so trash. It
Yes.
is. It is like somebody peed in that dating pool for sure. For sure. It is so bad. So talk about scammers, like full of them, men and
Yeah.
women. It's yeah. Ugh, POF.
Well, as a result, Stacey, let me share with you what I'm going to be doing here in Melbourne very soon.
Yes.
I'm actually going to be creating some dating events, singles dating events, live singles pop-up for singles.
Fun.
Yeah, so exclusive, and they're going to be exclusive pop-up singles events. So, oh, look at that
Oh, look at
balloon.
that.
So it's
Yay,
going to be,
pop-ups.
because this is what I'm really hearing from, both men and women, uh, that connection. Everyone's hiding behind a screen, everyone's hiding behind their
Yes.
telephones. We don't know
Yes.
whether we're talking to, is this profile picture from, 1980?
Yeah, mullets are back in style, so you wouldn't know, actually.
Exactly. They're back in style. So we're back in the trend. So I thought, yes, what better way to do it? So the 17th of February, just the Saturday after Valentine's Day, for all those that have missed out on Valentine's. But it's not even about, meeting your ideal match, but just getting out there and start mingling again and, seeing who's who. And you never know who you might meet. And I think people are wanting to connect more, talk face to face, have a drink, and socialize. Because, after COVID, that lockdown, as you know, 3 years of that was very painstaking for people that were dating or wanting to date. And,
Yeah.
there was some good things that came from it and some not so good. And for some people, believe it or not, it really took a lot of their confidence away, where they lost their self-esteem to get back out and start mingling, start socializing. So yeah, that's something that I'm going to be, yeah,
That's super
creative.
exciting, you guys. So if you're in Melbourne, I do know that I have a few Australians on my that see these podcasts. So if you are in Melbourne, or if you are from my Facebook, I know I've got some Australians there. Go and find out what's going on with Stefania and see what she is. Even if you're, partnered and you've got friends, maybe recommend that they join Stefania, because what I know to be true, especially in America with the swiping, especially, is it allows a lot of dishonest people to say some things that aren't exactly true. So the number of partnered men that I came across was, and not E&M. They weren't ethical non-monogamous. That's not my bag anyway, but they were literally out prowling and cheating. And I feel like in person-to-person stuff, maybe that's a little bit harder because there's an effort there that doesn't take you in the bathroom swiping, or next to your partner at night swiping just to get that dopamine hit. And so I'm all for in person. If I ever decide to date again, I think that that's exactly where I'll go, is exclusively in person, because this swiping shit is for the birds. For the birds. I am way too old to be dealing with some high school bullshit on a constant basis. No, thank you. No, thank you. And again, y'all are competing with our peace. So
yes.
It's a tall hill to climb, but so worth it, because that's the other thing. As far as questions go, what I would encourage anybody to ask, men, women, them, theys, heys, whatever, is, how much work have you done on yourself? What have you learned? What have you learned from your previous relationships? What was your part in that? And it's a great gauge of self-awareness and healing. And so I think that that's an important question to ask, for sure.
Absolutely. And, on that note, I just want to say, you said something very interesting, which is a red flag. When you're starting to date, particularly, this happens even on first dates. Everyone wants to know, like, what happened in your last relationship? What did you do? What happened? And we start talking about our past. That is the biggest no-no. Like,
yeah.
That is the biggest red flag. If that other person starts opening up and bashing their ex, and
oh my God, yes,
that is a red flag, because that person is really still in their wound. They're in their pain, and you don't want to be, Mother Teresa or Pope John Paul trying to save a woman. Just know that, hey, be really careful, tread carefully, because you're going to end up with, being a caretaker, and it's not pleasant. So, and I think too, just ethically, it's not nice to be, getting to know someone and you're having to hear all that or even explain all that. That comes with due time. You want to get to know about the person. You want to get to know about what she likes, what she doesn't like, fun things. Make it about wanting to be curious rather than being curious about what happened in the past and what happened with your ex and how your ex's, doesn't give you child support or whatever. It just gets really, really messy. And I just say, no, stay away from those
that's a good
conversations.
Thank you for clarifying that. I did mean that. I didn't mean first date. Be like, tell me all the shit. But at some point, you'll want to know, how self-aware are they? What have they done to become self-aware? And I think that is an absolute fair question, especially if you have become self-aware and insightful and are healing. You want somebody on that same highway. Because if they're standing still and you're moving at 120, kilometers an hour, guess how long that's going to last?
Yeah. And I think too, as a woman, when we hear that a man is really like working on himself, like, let me give you an example. This just happened a couple of weeks ago, and I went out with someone, right? And he said to me, you know, I've had an interesting past. And I said, okay. And I didn't say, tell me, like, I just, you know, created a space. And he actually said, and I was like, what? He had my attention. He said, you know, I've learned a lot from my past. He goes, I'm not perfect and I haven't made the right choices, he said, but I've certainly learned a lot and I'm willing to be a better version of myself. I nearly fell over backwards. It's like,
Ding, ding, ding,
what?
ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, because, and he was legit. I could tell, like, he had worked on himself and he was still on his journey, obviously. However, he was taking responsibility for the stuff that he, you know, had gotten involved in, or his whole life journey, and admitting I'm not perfect. That's another big thing too. So, yeah, I say, gentlemen, you know, start taking responsibility, and you'll start seeing things change.
Get into therapy and watch your world get so much better. I promise, or coach or whatever, but get some
Exactly.
help. Get
Yes.
some help. That is not just a book, my friends. I do love personal development books. I'm a big fan. However, I think a lot of men use them as like their sole source
Yes.
because opening up to somebody else feels way too scary.
Mm.
You gotta do the scary shit. You gotta do the
Yeah.
scary shit.
Yeah. Well,
Um, yeah.
I actually, you know, I do offer like a 20-minute, I call it an insight call, discovery call, whatever. And it's
Sure.
purely just to have a chat with me about anything. I'm open to just listening. It's not a sales call. It's purely just a conversation where you get to speak to someone, a new pair of ears, someone that, you know, doesn't know you. And for those men that can't do that, and I get it because like it's too scary to talk to someone, um, I do have a guide. I do have a, you know, how to attract your ideal partner, which has got some really solid info. It's not very long to read. It's short, but it also tells you more about the pitfalls to avoid, you know, avoiding the pitfalls. Because sometimes it's the how, but we want to also know what to avoid just to, you know, bring it in home a little bit more. So, yeah, I just want to say it's not that frightening to talk to someone. It actually helps you clarify, and that's what the whole insight calls are about. And saying, okay, well, where am I at? You know, and where can I move from this? What can
Yeah.
I
Where do
do?
I want to be? And how do I
Yeah,
get there? And how do I
exactly.
get there? Uh, Stefania, thank you so much. All of her links, y'all know it's in the description. I wouldn't leave you hanging out without resources. So go check her out. Even if you are not somebody who identifies as a man, but you are curious and you've connected with her and her beautiful energy and vibe, shoot her an email. I
Yeah.
don't think she's going to turn you down because you don't
No.
have the right genitals. I just highly doubt that. So
No.
let's
Well,
not
I
go
did
there.
start off, I wanna say I did start off coaching women, remember? So,
Yeah.
and then jump the other side. So, yeah, I still have some female clients and, you know, I have, you know, some ladies that come start with me and then, you know, end up working with the men as well. So,
Awesome.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it all fits in. We're all looking for love. We're all wanting to be
We all
happy and
want to be
find that peace.
connected. Yeah,
Be
absolutely.
connected.
My peace. Connected with my peace. That's what yeah. Stefania,
Thank
thank you, your beautiful soul, for coming and
you.
enlightening us and having this beautiful discussion. I'm so grateful that you spent your energy and bandwidth with me for the last hour.
I
Thank you
appreciate
so
you.
much.
Thank
Yeah, I
you, and thank you
appreciate
for the
you.
opportunity.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So you guys do all the YouTube things, like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell. I do go live occasionally. You don't want to miss those because that's always so much fun. And go follow Stefania. Again, her stuff is linked below in the description. And whether you work with Stefania, me, another coach, another therapist, I just want you to remember it takes just a few short minutes a day, truly, of mindfulness, of being present, of being self-aware with insight about what your thoughts and feelings are creating for you as far as your experience goes. You can actually rewire your brain for a more positive life. And if you don't believe me, come try us. And I know we will show you that that actually is true. So thank you for joining me. I will catch you guys next time. Have a great evening. I love y'all. Bye.